I thought we were going to shoot the Westchester Incident. For a moment there, I thought we were going to do it. So I was actually looking for locations outside of New Orleans that looked like Westchester. And I was looking for places that could look like the X Mansion. And ultimately it became it wasn't really because it was a complicated sequence. It was really because it felt like it was another movie. And now, just as an audience member, I also felt that Patrick Stewart's final scene is so imbued with drama, and it's so powerful because as an audience you're imagining what he's talking about, and it reminded me a little bit of Clarice's speech in Silence of the Lambs, where the lambs are crying out. There was in that movie, Jonathan Demme was going to cut away. And the same decision was made to stick with Jodie Foster's performance, and I think that the not showing the Westchester subplot, it just really makes what he's saying more shocking and more brutal and real. All I knew is that I was working with Jim Mangold on the film even before there was a script, and he talked about this road trip going north. And he referenced North by Northwest. And so he wanted it to end sort of in a very green Northern America sort of place that could be like on the border. And with a big movie like this, you just can't go all over the country because it would be $1 billion film. So we looked at a lot of locations on the Colorado border in New Mexico, and we found the whole third act within striking distance of a diameter that was easy to work in. Well, not easy. I mean, it was very difficult actually. But the fire lookout was in near a town called Abiquiu, and then about 45 minutes north of that, we were near a town called Chama on the border, and that was a much more verdant, sort of impressive environment with like giant cliffs and everything and huge trees, and that it took a long time to find, because it really did, because you have to bring an army of crew there, and you have to be able to work there. You can't just everyone can't just show up by helicopter. It needs to be also sort of semi-accessible. But the end of the movie was quite unique for a production like this, because there's no Hilton hotel there. So we were staying at about 60 different cabins and Airbnbs and motels and weird little places, all in and around in a 45-minute drive circle from our final location. It was very logistically challenging. Well, the creative process was a real journey for me, because like I said, I came on before there was a screenplay, and so Jim Mangold, who I have a very close relationship with, will kind of sneak me pages as he's writing, and it's funny because the movie kept getting pared back and I wouldn't say simplified, but the character development ended up taking a front seat to the storytelling, and it became he wanted people to see their own families in this movie, so. Rather than we did tons of research looking at the comic books, trying to find nuggets and details and things that could help expand a world and making it unique. But we ended up really focusing more on elements that created sort of a grounding and believability and relatability to the characters and to their experiences and things. That's what I focused on primarily, because there are a lot of things. I'm kind of a big movie nerd too, and so I kept trying to put in these holographic TV, because that's kind of, I thought that was the rule when you're in the future. You're supposed to have see-through TV monitors and things like that. And Jim kept he kept paring that back, and I think it was a really good choice, because those distractions, we've seen them before. We don't need to see them again. We don't need to see see-through monitors in every single summer superhero movie. So it became a movie that got more laser focused on sort of the weights of the scenes, and making them feel as believable as possible. The funny thing about Jim is he does not like distractions in his movies, and in this movie he didn't want any distractions. And we actually designed some pretty elaborate auto trucks that had these cabs on them that flipped up and down like cell phones. So when they didn't have when they weren't pulling sort of a trailer, they would flip down and then they'd flip up and like kind of dock to the trailers. I was pretty proud of that concept. And then they actually, when the visual effects department rendered that up, Jim said, you know what, I think it looks cool, but get rid of that front part, no cab. What if they're just these, you don't know what's the front, what's the back, it's just the trailer itself.
The trailer, yeah.
And I thought that was such an interesting sort of gut instinct to make those things look cool, because it's almost like the Ridley Scott's Alien, there's no eyes, you don't know where the brain is in those things. It's really great.